Hi, right now I'd like to take you on a short magical mystery tour of two databases. The first one we'll talk about in this part of the presentation, and the second in the second. Makes sense. So you've all done some research through your educational experiences. Some have done more than others, and some of you have gained a degree of comfort with databases. When I was in college, it was all on paper, which meant it always required a trip to the library and hours trying to find sources to look for, both within periodical guides and then after that in the actual print publication. It was time consuming. Now you do research at home in the comfort of your own living room with a cup of coffee and your dog beside you. So things have changed. Mostly we use Google for our research in our life, but some of us use databases, particularly in an academic setting, because they make the process go that much easier. So the first part of this magical mystery tour is going to be a look at the General One database, which is available through Michigan's e-library system. If you have a Michigan Public Library card, you probably have access to this database. So I want you all to go find your library card and go visit with your librarian and take a upfront and personal look at General One. The second database, which will be on the second part of this presentation, is ProQuest, which is available through Northwoods Library and well, I love General One, so I was going to tell you it was equally good, but I can't do that. But let's get started on General One. Okay? So this is an advanced search on General One. As you can see at the top, it's available through the Michigan e-library system. An advanced search makes sense to use. So you're looking for two terms, generally joined with an and. So let's say your report is going to be on General Motors, Ford, and Toyota, and you're looking in terms of diversity, concern for the environment, and equal pay for women. We're only going to look for one term right now. We're going to look for one company and one term. So our search can be pretty straightforward. In the first search by field, we put Ford Motor Company, and we identify this as a keyword. As you all know, if you use and between two terms, you get results that yield articles that have both the first and the second term in them. If you used or, you get articles that have Ford Motor Company in them, articles that have diversity in them, and articles that overlap. You'd get a boatload of stuff. So make sure you use and, not or. So this is pretty much going to be our search, Ford Motor Company and diversity. And I'm going to hit the search button and see what happens. Okay, so this is my first result, and it looks like I got 60 magazines from that basic search. And in the right column, you can see that in addition to those 60 magazines, I got 13 academic journals, 6 books, and 432 news stories. That's a lot to look through. So it's probably more than I want to do. So let's go back and limit our search just a little bit further. And before we go, I want you to notice that in the right column, there is a limit search by, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to back it up and do it over from the first screen, but you can do it from the second screen as well. So I'm going to look for Ford Motor Company and as a keyword, and then I'm going to look for diversity. But as I look in that drop-down field, I see that there are other searches that other people have done related to diversity, and I kind of like diversity and inclusion, and I think I'm going to add that in. So it's going to pull 3 terms instead of 2. Ford Motor Company is 1, diversity and inclusion as the third. Okay? And right under that drop-down menu, where I've partially hidden it, is a section called More Options. And here you can pick full text, documents, peer-reviewed, and contains images. I'm not so interested in images, so I'm going to discount that one right away. but I do want full text options because I don't want just an abstract. An abstract is typical in a journal or a scholarly publication, and it's usually written by a staff person for that publication, not the author of the essay itself. So you can't quote it and say it's by the author of the article. It's by somebody. Just like if you find a database that offers an abstract, know that that abstract was written by somebody working for the database, not the original author. So go to the original. So that's one way to limit it, but there are more. So if you were to scroll down just a little bit on this screen, you'd see date ranges, and here they are. So you can change, you can select dates, and I'm selecting dates that are within a specific date range. I'm interested in the last 5 years, recently. If you were doing a literature topic, let's say you were looking for Jane Austen's Emma and the topic of marriage, you probably wouldn't care if the search yielded something from 5 minutes or 50 years ago. In fact, you'd be charmed by the old information, but not in this case. You don't want to know what Henry Ford did about diversity and inclusion when he started the company. You want to know what's happening now. That's what you care about because you're looking for a job and you're looking for a good company. So we pick the last 5 years. So I've selected full text documents and I put in a date range. And my results are different. I got 2 magazines, 6 academic journals, and 40 news stories. Pretty good, eh? I want you to pay attention to the right-hand column, the content types. Know that you can select magazines there and the magazines will pop up. Know that if you select academic journals, the academic journals will pop up, and if you select news, the news will pop up. There's also a limit by section there. And if you took a closer look at the limit search by, you'd see that it contains this information. So you could again select full text, contains images. You could do it by subjects. You could do it by publication type. If you expanded the section under publication document, publication title is one I think I looked at most specifically. You could identify how many stories came from CBS Morning News, and I think it's 1. And NBC News had 1 story. You could identify the stories by the publisher and select in that way. So if you know nothing about PLOS company updates and don't know they're a credible source, or conversely, you know that they are not a credible source, then you could just skip those and go right to the sources that are credible. One other thing I wanted to point out in this section is the Analyze section at the very bottom. Look at that colorful topic finder. It's colorful to capture your attention because it offers some amazing benefits, and I'm going to show you that right now. Is this not amazing? So you can use the topic finder to limit your search even more. The slider on the right will show you the articles that popped up related to an area within that wheel. So I selected the United States portion of that pie wheel, and I got 8 articles, and the slider on the far right will let you look through the beginning of each of those articles. So the other option on this page is, if you look right above the wheel, it says you can visualize by wheel, which we are, or by tiles. And this is what it looks like when you visualize by tiles. The search is even more granular, and the tiles give you a sense of the composition of the search. So all the colors that are related appeared in the different sections of the pie, but here you can see exactly what they are. So I selected Michigan and I got 5 results. All the while my basic search terms remain Ford Motor Company, diversity and inclusion, but these results relate specifically to Michigan. And I'm going to look at a random article to show you what else databases do for you. So, on this particular database, you can read the full text or you can listen to it, which means that you can be on the treadmill, multitasking, and doing your research. So within the article, you can see some colors appearing, and those are the search terms that you used. But if you look at the right, under the Tools section, you see Citation Tools, Email, Download, Print, Highlights and Notes, Save, Download, MP3s, and Share. All those things are available in this particular database, and they are in most, although this one seems to have more than others, like Download, MP3s, and Share. You often see Citation Tools, Email, Download, Print, and Save. Highlights and Notes is another good one. You can make notes in the actual article. It'll look like track changes, and then when you save it, your notes remain there. So let's look at the citation tool. In that drop-down menu, you can choose the AP current version, 6th edition, or you can choose, I think, 2 MLA versions. You can probably choose the Chicago style. And you can choose to export it to a variety of places. You probably know more about them than I do. I would just copy and paste. But, you know, I'm old. Anyway, you could do that, or you could download it. This is amazing. Amazing great, don't you think? So back to it again. You can email it. Always a good idea, because you don't want to go through the fun of finding it again. Sometimes it's hard to find things you thought were wonderful the first time. So download the full text and print it. Maybe do your notes here. Translate it to another language if you think that will help. And look at the related subjects. It's probably more search terms that would generate similar articles. Okay, so this is the end of the first part of this Magical Mystery Tour. And there's more. Another great database available through Northwoods Library, ProQuest. So get ready to view part 2. Thank you.